Hello everyone, Javenda here. In this video I want to show you the second generation of steeled K lock. Some of you are probably familiar with the first generation, uh, which catches your attention with its unusual design. Both of the keyway look like they were designed for some kind of spaceship or something like that. Today I will focus on the second generation and will be tempted to make a small comparison with the first generation, and for those of you who are curious about the details of the first generation, in description of this video I put a link to my video in which I describe this lock in quite some detail. Even at first look you can see the difference between the two generations of steeled K, and in my opinion the first generation was prettier. Yeah, but this is just my personal impression. The construction and design of entire mechanism has changed, which I will talk about in a moment when I show the internals of both generations. You can see here at the front part of lock is different. The key is also longer that in the first generation. It is interesting because the key is longer, and as you will see in a moment, the whole mechanism in the second generation is more compressed and takes up less space. To sum up these few words of introduction, the second generation may look less attractive, but it is undoubtedly much harder to pick than the first generation, and we are already moving on to the part about the internals, where I will show you what has been changed or improved when it comes to the security of this lock. Okay, here are the two mechanisms of the two generations of steeled K. As I mentioned, the second generation mechanism is much more compressed, and it takes up much less space than the first generation. As you can see, here we have the first generation, here is the second generation, which already implies its difficulty in picking, since there is much less space inside of the keyway to operate the pick, and the levers themselves are also slimmer, and what is something new, levers has different lengths. So as you can see on the right side, first lever is shorter, second is longer, shorter, longer, and that's how it looks like. So navigation is also much more difficult here. Another thing is that the levers themselves have been significantly improved, and with the same depth of the sidebar groove, the depth of the force gates in the second generation is practically twice as deep, which again makes it more difficult to pick. Now I will show a table comparing the individual dimensions of these two mechanisms. Alright, next is the front plate. In the first generation it is integrated into the whole core, in the second generation, it is separate and makes the tensioning process much more difficult due to the fact that the dip of the force gates is bigger. To release the sidebar from them and not drop the already set levers, a float picking technique is necessary, and after many attempts I decided to make two tensioners that are very well matched to each side of the keyway. So here the left tensioner and here the right tensioner. What I found out to be very important: the tensioner must be longer than the thickness of the front plate, and it must also interact with the core to have the best possible control of the core in both directions. I made these tensioners from two imbus type wrenches, which I ground down to the size of these two keyway holes. The housing is also changed, and in the second generation the whole mechanism is pulled out through the back of the housing. The second generation core is placed in a brass inner housing, which is held in the main housing thanks to a steel pin in its lower part. Okay, that is probably all I have to say about this lock, so it's time to pick it. So Urban Alps steel key, second generation. Let's try to pick. Clockwise tension, and I will start from the left side. All right. Small core rotation. That means one side is picked. Now second side. Oh, nice. We have open. I have to watch out to my zoom. Alright. Everything is good. So let's try to get this fella. Lock is closed. Everything is working. So let's get this lock. Sorry. I didn't have my tools, forgetting. Okay. One sidebar with 2 springs. Second sidebar with springs. And here we have our lock. Alright, cool. So that was Urban Alps Stealth K, second generation. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Stay safe and be good. Cheers.